Okay, so there is something really strange happening on Wall Street right now. You've got these tech giants, Google, Amazon, you name it, making the biggest bets of their entire lives, pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into AI. And the market's reaction? Well, it's basically panic. It's a huge puzzle, and in this explainer, we're going to figure it out together.
Right. This is the absolute heart of the mystery we're diving into. I mean, when a company says it's spending a fortune to build the next generation of tech, you'd think investors would be thrilled, right? Instead, stock prices are actually dropping. It just feels totally backwards. Why on earth would betting big on the future be seen as a bad thing? And look, this isn't just a one-time fluke. As Gene Munster over at Deepwater Asset Management points out, there's a genuine hostility coming from the market. It's a huge red flag that signals this deep, deep uncertainty about what these massive investments are actually going to lead to. Investors are clearly spooked, and all the experts are scrambling to figure out why.
To really wrap our heads around what's going on, we have to start with the sheer scale of this AI bet. I mean, the numbers we're talking about here are just mind-boggling, so let's try to break them down.
Get this, $600 billion. That is the estimated capital expenditure, or CapEx, for just 5 of the big tech companies for this year alone. Let that sink in for a second. That's more than the entire economic output of many countries. This is not just a big investment. We are talking about a historically unprecedented level of spending, and it's all happening right now. Now, here's where it gets really, really interesting. Where is all that cash actually going? Well, according to Munster's analysis, a staggering 80% of that colossal sum is being funneled directly into building out AI infrastructure. So we're not talking about fancy new office buildings or satellites. The lion's share of this money has one purpose: a direct, laser-focused investment in AI. And spending like this, on this scale, it forces us to ask a really fundamental question about the people running these companies. Are they absolute visionaries who can see a future that the rest of us just can't? Or are they just reckless gamblers making a trillion-dollar mistake? Before we can even try to answer that, let's just make sure we're all on the same page with this word, CapEx. It's the key to this whole story. Simply put, CapEx is the money companies spend on their long-term stuff. Think massive, sprawling data centers, those super specialized GPU chips that are the real workhorses of AI, and of course, the insane amount of power needed to run it all. This isn't just some line on a budget. This is the literal, physical foundation of our AI future being built. So what you have are 2 totally different ways of looking at this. The bear view, the pessimistic one, is that these companies are just lighting mountains of cash on fire with no clear return in sight. That's why the stocks are dropping. But the bull view says no, no, no. They have a unique insight. They see an opportunity so huge that this spending isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely essential.
So let's really dig into that bull thesis, because this is where things get fascinating. Gene Munster argues that if you just look a little closer, this spending isn't a gamble at all. In fact, he thinks it's the single clearest signal we have that something truly transformative is right around the corner. And why should we believe them? Well, because these companies have an absolutely incredible track record. Just think about it for a second. Amazon, Google, Meta, they have proven over and over again that they can get massive returns on their AI investments. They aren't rookies in this game, they're the world champions. And this quote just perfectly captures the core of Munster's whole argument. If you just accept the premise that these proven innovators know what they're doing, then their willingness to spend money on this insane scale can only mean one thing. The AI revolution hasn't even really started yet. We are at the very, very beginning. Munster uses this really powerful metaphor to make this idea crystal clear. All this spending, all this CapEx, it's not just about adding more computer servers. It's about fundamentally expanding the cognitive power of artificial intelligence itself. Or as he puts it, the brain of AI is getting bigger. So the chain of logic that Munster lays out is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, you have this massive CapEx investment we've been talking about. That investment leads directly to step 2. The brain of AI gets bigger, right? It gets more powerful, more capable. And, well, what happens when you have a more powerful brain? You get to step 3, way more utility and way more disruption. New apps, new services, and a total shakeup of how things are done. And that brings us to the final and maybe most important part of this whole thing. What happens next? If this AI brain is growing so fast, what are the consequences going to be? What will this disruption actually look like for us? So what's the timeline for this AI revolution? According to Munster, the historic spending spree we're seeing right now in 2024 is really just the opening act. That high level of investment, it's expected to keep going strong all the way through 2026. And then, starting around 2027 and beyond, that's when we'll start to see the real widespread disruption as this newly superpowered AI begins to reshape every corner of our economy.
And this, right here, might be the most profound takeaway of all. Yeah, software companies are feeling the pressure first, but Munster is crystal clear. This disruption is not going to stop there. This is a wave that is expected to wash over every single industry. Nothing will be untouched by this bigger AI brain. So as we wrap this up, the picture starts to become a lot clearer. The market's fear is just a short-term reaction to all this spending. But the spending itself, that's the real signal. A signal of a long-term, fundamental shift in everything. And it leaves us with one critical question to think about. As this global AI brain continues to grow and get smarter, what part of our world will it reshape next?